What do we know about the motivation for this request from Mnuchin to Powell, which we see that Powell is going to comply with? Some say, this is potentially kneecapping economic aid under the Biden administration. Treasury is saying that it's about redeploying the money. What do we know about the goal here?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a head scratcher, Joe. On the one hand, it's true, as Secretary Mnuchin says, that the market doesn't seem to need this help right now. We saw Carnival Cruise the Carnival Cruise folks do a big bond sale today, getting $11 billion for $2 billion worth of issuance. So on the one hand, Mnuchin is right that for now the market doesn't need it. But he's come out since last night's announcement to say what he'd like to do is have the unused funds repurposed for grants and fiscal spending. This is, again, a little bit of a head scratcher because, the Congressional Budget Office counts loan money not as appropriations, not as spending. That money is supposed to come back, right? You lend it out, and then the government gets it back. So you can't really repurpose that for fiscal spending. So, one narrative we've heard from the Trump administration, and we heard it from Larry Kudlow earlier today on Bloomberg Television, was that the thing is the economy is coming back. It doesn't need so much help. So, maybe the narrative is that, we've achieved the recovery. We've done what we needed to do. We're going to declare victory and then leave it to the next group to clean up the mess.
Just beggars belief, really, that you'd try to declare victory just as we're going into what seems to be a pretty bad second wave. And, I mean, certainly that was what the likes of Grant Thornton, chief economist, Dan Swamp was saying. She was completely befuddled by the choice. Tim Massad was on with us earlier. He was the guy who oversaw TARP, and actually they managed to make money on some of their lending. He thought it was far too early to be repurposing this money. From your perspective, there's also been hope and prayers, though, from the market, which hasn't responded much to this, that we will get some sort of fiscal stimulus deal. Where do you think the reality is of that?
Well, I think what we've seen here is it's a very unusual split between the Fed and the Treasury, right? I mean, you're used to seeing the Fed chairman and the Treasury secretary in lockstep on relief and emergency packages and so on. So this kind of, split between these two institutions feeds into the narrative that Washington is really kind of broken here. They can't get a fiscal package done. They've been negotiating it for months. They're still where they were back, months ago. More than $1 trillion apart on the fiscal stimulus package. And now the Fed and Treasury can't even agree on renewing some lending facilities. So it does feed this narrative that something is really broken here in Washington. And you saw this in the statement that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce put out last night, saying that, American businesses are tired of this kind of partisan bickering. Yeah. Just pull together. Everybody should be rowing in the same direction and help the economy.